Good night. Have one time tonight. God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Irma J. Spirits Around. I'm here to give you some news and a word on tonight. I'll get my other set of eyes on here. Oh, excuse me. All right. We still talking about Suanquella Robinson. They still have well, Mexico still don't have an arrest for her. It was no arrest in Suanquella Robinson case. That in Mexico. But the FBI picked it up, the United States. So the United States authorized one make an arrest or seek charges in Suanquella case. Federal prosecutors said there wasn't enough evidence, for the wrongdoing to the issue of criminal charges in Suanquella Robinson murder case. I don't know how when we saw the whole incident on the video, you know. So as in every case under consideration for federal prosecutors, the government must prove beyond the reasonable doubt that a federal crime was committed and it based on the result of her autopsy. So after the careful deliberated and review of the investigation material by both United States attorney, family today that the available evidence does not support the federal prosecution. This is two separate cases. You got the FBI, the United States, and then you got the Mexico. So you have the FBI, they investigate. They moving forward. So what's so the video we saw, that she was getting beat up. And then you got somebody that was video the whole thing. So when they found her body dead, all the ones that was with her, that video leaked out. Somebody, all of them should have been up in there to get questioned. So they have not, at that time, they have not had questioned no one or arrest no one when the young lady had got killed, and all of them was right there witness. So I don't understand how they don't have enough evidence when we all saw in the video that she got beat down. And then she ended up dead. And this person beat her down. And then you had all the people in the room. No one had gotten arrested. No one got called into to the jailhouse to get questioned. Not at all. And here we still don't have the person in there who was on the video that aggressively was beating her. Previous Daniel Rosa, Attorney General for Mexico, said the arrest warrants had been issued for the crime. So now, so responsible for this act, a friend of hers, while also adding that Robinson death wasn't the result of a direct aggressive that this person made. So the person trying to say, so the fight we had did not cause her death. So they're saying the autopsy didn't even show that her death was the beating and stuff. So her beating like that, if it was a heart problem or whatever, it still was cause of the beating that she had received, probably had caused to her death. So the arrest warrant issued for the suspect Suanquella Robinson death had reported on Wednesday. So they made arrest on Wednesday. But the name of the suspect, who said to be the direct aggressor, has not been released. So they have someone in there, but they're not giving the person name. So the FBI has an open investigation that will not connect on the arrest. The investigation completed is separate from Mexico. This is a separate. She from the United States, but the incident happened in Mexico. So now you're doing two separate. They're doing two separate cases. So the FBI, United States investigation, they're doing it separate. Mexico has not, did anything. So they made an arrest, but they're not giving no name. We don't need no name. Long as they did arrest, you know. But still and all, everyone that was in that room watching, you know, should have had been in the jailhouse, you know, being questioned. You know, they take to right now, you know, to have someone in there questioning when this should have been done a long time ago. You know, so we have so we see the FBI, United States, made an arrest in the investigation the case doing the case separate. You know, Mexico has not, you know, they have not they going by the autopsy. The autopsy don't show that the beating caused her death. You know, so there was a girl beaten on the video. On the video, you know, and the other watching. But at that time it was no arrest. You know, so I request that Mexico make an arrest. Bring them in for investigation. You know, you have on video she was beaten, but she stated that her death wasn't caused of the beating. You know, if she had a heart attack, if she had a stroke, it's still probably caused from the beating. You know, so that's the story on the Secret. You know, I requested that they get justice for her case. You know, get justice because her case was on video that she was beaten and she died. She died the same day. You know, so I understand that all these people that was in that room, you know, everyone should have been in that jailhouse being questioned. You know, to find out what going on, what happened. We all saw in the video that was fighting, but Sequita didn't even look like she was pretty much fighting back. You know, so the aggressor, they finally got her in custody, but you know, not saying no name. We don't need no name right now. Long as somebody is getting called in for questioning to find out exactly what had happened on that day. You know, so I'm glad that now, you know, arrest someone and trying to get justice, you know, for this young lady. You know, these what I'm hearing is that they were supposed to have been her friends. You know, taking a trip to Mexico with your friends. You know, and then your friends, you know, not call her mother. They, you know, they never stated that she was missing. You know, and that's, you know, so sometimes, you know, it's not even safe. She like it was not safe for her to even take a trip with her friends. You know, so I'm glad she will be having justice, and I will keep on talking and speaking on her case until justice is done. You know, she took a trip with her friends, ended up fighting, getting beat down, and she died later. So the family need some kind of closure. You know, so I would keep on speaking on it till she have her justice for her case. You know, so now I'm gonna talk to you about you know, we still doing Bible study. You know, we still on Samson. You know, so he let the woman have his hair cut off. That was his power. That was his strength. You know, his hair. You know, a lot of us, you know, chosen, we have power. We have some spiritual kind of divine, and it's all in different areas. You know, his power and strength was his hair. You know, but this is the second time he got involved with a Philistine woman that manipulated him, and this one here cost him his life. You know, so this gonna come from Judges. The name of it was the death of Samson. Judges 16:23-31. So now Samson's hair had been cut off, and so he weak and he don't have no strength. You know, so the rulers of the Philistine assembled to offer a great sacrifice, and now God turned him over to the Philistine. You know, because you know this is the second time you're gonna get involved with a woman, you know, a Philistine woman, and you got all this chaos. You just got out of a chaos mess that your wife got killed. You know, and now you look at another Philistine woman that did worse than what your wife did because you got all your hair cut off and you don't have no strength. You know, so Samson got involved with two Philistine women. You know, this last woman about to lead him to his death. You know, and when the people saw him, you know, they praised their God. So the Israelites still praising other gods. I don't know how many times God got to keep on telling them, don't praise no other God. And so they praise other God. Now the God has delivered our enemy into our hands, and the one who laid waste our land and multiply our slain. So they're talking about Samson. So now they praise and Samson. They say because he defeated them the other day. He defeated them. So now God delivered him to them. Because he constantly keep on getting involved with these Philistine women. Stirring up all this mess when he's supposed to be helping, supposed to be fighting for the Israelites. So the temple was also the local entertainment center. Now they had a temple where you're supposed to worship at, but they made this temple out of entertainment center. They're gonna put him in prison, but then they're gonna have him to come out to entertain, to perform for them. I mean, they're really humiliating this man here. And the crowd into the theater, the Philistine town people, the crowd into the local temple. So they sat on a flat temple roof. And they look into the crowd, and believe. And what they often saw, humiliation of the prison. Just talk about Samson. Now they done all kind of stuff to him. Because he defeated them every time you look around, because he was powerful. He had that strength. He had God's spirit all over him. Now he done let this woman had his hair cut off, and now he weak. Now he don't have no power, no strength. Not only that his hair got cut off, but God's spirit had left him too. So he really lost in confusion. They took his eyes out. Now he weak, he can't see nothing, and God is gone. And when God is gone, he don't have no direction. That's how Saul was. Saul had to call the day because he had no direction. God's spirit was gone. So since the Philistine had control over the Israelite, they thought that God was stronger, and not they think the God that they kept on worshiping, now they see that there wasn't no real thing. That's what God kept on telling them. The God that you keep on praising, that you keep on worshiping, that you keep on bowing down to, cannot save you. He's not real. So now they realize the Israelites, they thought their God was stronger. But now the Israelites really thought that God they create was real, and now they see it's not real. You can't create something, and think it's gonna be real. And that's what God kept telling them the whole time. What you keep on worshiping, it's not real. But when the ark of God was placed before the dungeon in a similar temple, the ark, fell over and broke into pieces. Now, their God that they created, fell down and broke into pieces. How your God gonna break into pieces? Our God is real. He don't break into pieces. Your God fell down and broke in all kind of pieces. And you thought that was real. You the disrespect your God for something that just broke into pieces. So now I guess they learned their lesson. You create something that breaks into pieces. So God's strength goes beyond numbers of physical might. Our God does not break. He don't fall down to break. Our God is real. And you're going to let go and disrespect a real God for something that you worship that can fall down and break it to pieces like it just did. So now they have a temple, an entertainment section, and they were in the high spirit. They was in the high spirit, like they was high, just dancing around, shouting and everything, and they were shouting, talking about, bring him in. Bring him out. They put him in prison. Now they're saying, bring him out. Bring him out to entertain us. Now, they want him to come out of prison so he can entertain them. So he already weak because they beat him down too. So they called Samson out of the prison. Called him out of the prison to perform for them. Now they want him to perform. They really humiliating this man because he really used he told them down. He had so much strength. They could not tie him up. They couldn't do anything. So they said bring him out of prison. So he can perform for us. So when they stood him among the Philistines, Samson said to the servant who hold his hand, Samson asked him, place me where the temple is. Place me where the temple is. So he can feel the pillars that support the temple. Can you remember they took his eyes out, so he can't see nothing. So he had to ask them, put him where the temple at, so that I may lean. He wants to lean. See, he weak. He can't even stand up. He said, put me where the temple at so I can lean on the temple. So now he wants to lean against a pillar for a support of the temple. But that's not the reason. He want to get one revenge. And that's all he been doing this whole time. Wants to do revenge. And now he on his last leg and he's still talking about revenge. So the structure of some of the incense, temples depend on the support of the large wooden pillar, mount up a stone basis. So the central pillar of the temple support the large, flat, roof where several thousand, don't worship. So they worship in this temple where they had the false god that fell down and broke into pieces. So they worship up in there. But he got something up his sleeve. He said, place me over there where that temple at, so I can lean on the temple because I cannot see and I'm weak. So some of his hair has started growing back. So several thousand done to worship, gathered to celebrate Samson capture. So they celebrate. The man, that was strong and powerful, used to always win, always defeat anyone that tried to come near the Israelite. Now they capture him, and now they want to celebrate. They want to celebrate because they say, oh, y'all, God deliver him to us. So they're celebrating to know Samson had been defeated them for a long time. So that's why they were so happy of celebrating. He always win. He had God's spirit all over him. He always win. So now they happy. They have this powerful person that used to always beat them down. Every time you look around, he was winning. As long as he had God inside, he had God's spirit. He was defeating anybody that was coming against the Philistines because that's what God had designed him to do. And also God had told him, do not get involved with a Canaanite or Philistine. Don't get involved with none of those people. But he did it anyway. Not once, but twice. So after the watch, we glean as he is humiliated and forced to perform for them. He forced to perform for them, But while they celebrate, God is planning their punishment. Because see, God still was working behind the scene. God still loves Samson. His spirit had left him, but Samson gonna call out to him, and God gonna answer, and he gonna respond. So God is planning the punishment, and Samson, he asked to place him near the supporting pillar of the temple so he can lean on it. So now Samson prayed to God. He feel like this is his last days. Now he praying to God. He praying to the God. He said, God, remember me. He said, God, remember me. He said, please, God, strengthen me. Just this one more time. God, please, strengthen me just this one more time. He wants to get revenge one more time. So still he already know. This whole time he keep on doing revenge, and revenge belongs to God. So he asked God to strengthen him, just one more time. Let me with one blow. He said, let me with one blow. He said, so going back, so he can have a little strength. Let me go for one blow. Get revenge on the Philistine for my two eyes. Now he won revenge because they took two of his eyes, both of his eyes out. You know, see, they took his eyes out. So he won't see to beat them down. So then Samson had reached towards the two central pillars on which the temple stood. Remember, the what you call it is holding the structure of the temple up. Now he asked to lean on, and God is working behind the scene also. So on which the temple stood, bracing himself against the temple. So his right hand on one side and his left hand on the other side. So he's still leaning on and about to use one hand. So Samson said to God, let me die with the Philistine. And then he pushed with all his might. Remember, he prayed to God. He said, God, remember me. Remember me. You create me to help the Israelite. Remember me. So then he pushed with his hand, with his mighty hand, down came the timber, on the rooter and all the people that was in it. That's why he had told them, move me over here. Move me over here. Let me just lean right here for a little while. So he took all his might and he knocked that temple down. So his might. Then he pushed with all his might. And down came the temple of the ruler. And all the people in it, were killed. Many more when he died, while he was alive. So they wanted to get him because he constantly, he was defeating the Philistine. Every time you look around, he had some power. They could not sustain him. They could not tie him up. They couldn't do none of that. So with one request, so he asked for one request. One request. So with one last request of God and one last burst of the supernatural power. He had that supernatural power. He let that woman seduce him. Had all his hair cut off and he lose all his power and strength. He had supernatural power. Samson pushes the wooden pillar off the stone foundation. Now he pushed it so hard. He had God had given him a little strength. He prayed to God. God gave him a little strength. So he kind of pushed it with all his might, knocked that whole temple down. The stone, the foundation, and bring the entire structure down. He brought the whole structure down. And now the sense of finding act is one of a useful, selfish, because he asked for revenge. He didn't ask God to give his power back to his hair. He did it for selfish reason. He said, God, let me get them one more time. Remember me, God. Give me strength and power just for this one more time. So he for willingness, to be used by God for one last time. So in spite of Samson's prayers, God still answered his prayers. See, God still loves Samson. He made mistakes twice, but God still loves Samson, So God answered his prayers and destroyed the temple and worship, and God still loved him. That he was willing to hear Samson's prayers of confession and use him as his final time. So now Samson, he got in a relationship the first time. And he married her. He got betrayed, with him to the Philistine. So what caused him to nail down, his hair, was cut off. Not only his hair was cut off, but he lost his strength, and God still was with him. He said, God, remember me, and God did not abandon him. God had answered his prayers. and save him at the end. God, please, just let me do it one more time. One more time, God. Let me do it one more time. They took my eyes out, God. Let me get them one more time. Because that's what he said here. He said, I need to get them one more time. Because then it took both of my eyes out. He done lost his strength with his hair. They done took his eye out because they didn't want him to see. So he asked God to give him power. Just this one more time. They took my eyes out. And I need to get revenge on them. Please help me this last time of my life. So then his brothers and his fathers, his whole family, they had came down to get him. They brought him back, brought his body back, and buried him between the oath and the tomb of his father. So his father and his brother came to take the body, bring it back to their hometown. So bury him between Zara and Esau in the between the Zara tomb, his father. So they came to help out, to take his body, where they at. So he led the Israelites for 20 years, and so we see Samson died, and he prayed to God to give him strength one more time, that he led the Israelites for 20 years. He made a mistake twice, with a woman. So that's all the word and news I have for today. We talk about Suanquella Robinson. They said she didn't have no power. They didn't have no arrest. So, and we also talk about the death of Samson. He got involved with two Philistine women when he wasn't supposed to, because there was all her friends was there. But no one had got arrested. No one had not got called to the office. So that's all I have for y'all today. The death of Samson, and Suanquella Robinson. There was no arrest, and I had requests, that Mexico, start investigating and start bringing someone in to have conversation on what exactly had happened to Suanquella Robinson. So thanking y'all, have a blessed and safe night, and I see y'all on the next video.